Pulling together 6 weeks of learning about artistic development across multiple disciplines into one art piece is challenging, even if the art piece can be a multi-page book. I'm Solveig Comer, and this video is my presentation of an accordion book that brings together what I've learned in the first half of Artistic Development and Creative Growth, a graduate class in the Arts Education program at Adelphi University. One of the resources that I really enjoyed this semester was a TED Talk with Tim Brown, in which he spoke about the value of play and experimentation, and how sometimes we lose our fearlessness to play and experiment as we grow from children into adults. Tim Brown's ideas about the value of play demonstrate design thinking, and they completely resonate with me. Design thinking is something that was an everyday part of my work as a studio potter. I think exploring multiple solutions is a really wonderful way to grow and learn. So in this video, I'm going to try and show some of my alternate solutions and mistakes rather than just one finished perfect project. My initial inspiration came from a project I saw during my observations in Mr. Rolfe's high school art classes at Delaware Academy in Delhi. His students created agamographs using two photos with some kind of opposing elements. I used the imagery of stairs and found photos of a toddler and a teen and put them together to create my agomograph. I folded my agomograph so that as you view it from different directions, you see two different images of the toddler and the teen. I love how mine came out, but it left out a lot of the details about child development and the arts that I wanted to include for this project. As I thought more about benchmarks and learning stages and how to represent them visually, I started thinking about growing flowers. Thinking about growing flowers and growing children reminded me of the commercially available growth charts I saw when my own kids were little. I decided to make a growth chart book, and I decided to use the index card pattern from Susan Kopinski-Gaylord's website because it can be unfolded to hang on a wall. I also had a ton of index cards to work with. I typed up some of my favorite quotes from the past 6 weeks and printed them out and glued the computer paper printouts together. I wanted to explore some printmaking with this project because I realized several years ago that my most frequently used ceramic technique, stamping repeated patterns onto clay, is really kind of a primitive printmaking, and I'd love to learn more about printmaking in general. I had some soft linocut slabs from a short printmaking workshop I did a few years ago, but the carving tool that came with them was really hard to work with, and it was hard for me to get what I wanted out of it visually. So I decided to experiment with these styrofoam pages that are designed for children's printmaking. I got them from an artist's thrift shop, but they're available for a good price online too. One thing that's really great about them is that they don't require sharp tools. You can create printing blocks, so to speak, with just a ballpoint pen. I abandoned the flower motif that I was working with and decided to pick some visual images that related more directly to the 4 artistic genres we've been focusing on: visual arts, dance, music, and drama. I messed up one of my designs. I carved my G-clef the right way, and then I realized that when I printed it, it would look backwards and my music would look really wrong. But I found the styrofoam material was really easy to work with. I wasn't sure how well the styrofoam printing blocks would actually work. I expected that such a cheap material might produce equally cheap-looking results, but when I mixed up some pretty spring colors with some cheap acrylic paints and printed the blocks with them, I really liked the results. I liked using a hard brush to spread the paint on and then use its stiff bristles to create some added texture for each print. When the paint was dry, I folded up my long paper accordion style and attached a cover. I added some string and beads to hold the book closed. When the book is opened, the beads and string function as a hanger, because this book is not actually a book. It's a hanging growth chart. After completing my artistic growth chart, I had the opportunity to measure up 3 of my favorite students. My first student is a 9-year-old girl, and she demonstrates the eagerness to explore art that's typical for children in this age range. It's playful for her, it's not obligatory, and like Tim Brown said, she's happy to just go for it and try lots of things. My next student is almost 12, and he demonstrates the crisis of realism issue that's typical for children of this age, in which their efforts often fall short of their expectations, and they become quickly disappointed, as described by Craig Rowland. Despite the challenges of this age range, it's one of the places where teachers can have the biggest impact on their students' learning in the arts. My third student is 14, and he's in that pre-professional phase where students are recognizing that they can either pursue art as a career or just use it as an enjoyment in their personal life. He's finding enjoyment in art. Actually, I think he thinks art is a joke, and he's planning to become a surgeon. I'm really happy with how the prints turned out for this project. I think they're really quite lovely, and that this inexpensive styrofoam material would be perfect for kids of all ages to work with. In addition to making books, these printing blocks would be great for making cards. They would probably look cool pressed into the clay, too. There's the playful design thinking part of me coming in again. I'm always trying to think of how I could tweak my art and potentially make it better in some way. I never really think of a project as being done. One thing I wish I could change about my project is the growth chart portion of the book, because all the learning that I've done this semester has taught me that artistic development isn't necessarily a linear progression. Kids don't grow artistically in the same way they grow physically. Artistically, they grow as Vygotsky describes growth and learning, in a social context. Art needs to be seen or heard or otherwise experienced outside of the creator in order for the artist to learn from their process. I think artistic growth is more cyclical than straight upward. The interactions between teachers and peers informs learners of all ages. Feedback from others can boost students up or hold them back. The role we play as art teachers is crucial in helping our students of all skill levels reach to the next level of their capabilities and to grow to their greatest potential.